Guys, I know. I'm kind of embarrassed about this. I knew I shouldn't have been covering any of these voter irregularities or any of these accusations of fraud for the past 8 days now. I just knew that you know what, I should have just waited for the professionals at the New York Times to come forward and assuage any sort of fears that were out there, because the Times, you know what, they did the Lord's work. They really went out on a limb, and they called election officials in every single state, and they found that there was no evidence of fraud after all. So I'm sorry for wasting everyone's time. I'll be taking off now. Yeah, I already seen a breakdown to this, and oh boy, are they kind of weaseling their way through this one. So yeah, they called everybody, but just because they called some people doesn't necessarily mean that they got a hold of everybody. And they use a bunch of examples in this article of states where, okay, nothing really contentious happened. And the fact that they show, you know, at some vote counters or election officials in the great state of Ohio, which, I don't know, for those of you who don't remember, Donald Trump kind of skunked Biden by like fucking 8.2 points. So yeah, not exactly getting off on the best foot here. So, and just to show that they're not biased, yeah, Frank LaRose, a Republican who serves as Ohio's Secretary of State, reported no serious irregularities with the voting last week's election. It's because places like Ohio and Florida have some of the strictest regulations on absentee and mail-in ballots. Yeah, kind of don't mention that throughout this entire article. You know, the election officials in dozens of states, okay, it went from every state to dozens of states representing both political parties, said that there was no evidence that fraud or other irregularities. Now they're walking it back a bit. Played a role in the outcome of the presidential race, amounting to a forceful rebuke of President Trump's portrait of a fraudulent election. They kind of do that themselves deeper into the article. Did you know Kansas did not experience any widespread systemic issues with voter fraud, intimidation, irregularities, or voting problems? A spokeswoman for Scott Schwab, the Republican Secretary of State in Kansas, said in an email Tuesday. Okay, Kansas, a state that was never in dispute, and President Trump won by 14.8 points. They aren't bringing their best, people. They aren't bringing their best. And just look at all the weasel words that are in here. Widespread, systemic. Like, they just keep adding these little qualifiers, so it's like, oh, okay, I don't need to look any deeper than that. I'll just be about my day. But, you know, your average reader, the way that it works with YouTube videos and with articles is basically, okay, you get your headline, and then you get the first paragraph, and if you don't summarize everything properly, nobody else is fucking paying attention. And yeah, if anybody's watching at this point, you probably were like, oh, okay, there's no evidence of voter fraud, even though that the thumbnail is probably going to be some smarky fucking comment. So, you know. And here's another perfect example. The fact that they said that they contacted, what it says at the top there is they contacted election officials in every single state. Now here we go. Yep. So they contacted the offices of the top election officials in every state on Monday and Tuesday. So that just means that they placed a call. It doesn't necessarily mean that they talked to anybody, but you know what, they did their due diligence. They fucking sent off a couple of emails, they made a couple of phone calls, and yeah, people eventually got back to them. Officials in 45 states. Okay, aren't there 50 states? 45 isn't exactly 50. And there's the little district of Columbia as well. So something's not adding up there. For 4 of the remaining states, the Times spoke to other statewide officials or found public comments from secretaries of state. None reported any major voting issues. So they took old comments and repurposed them to fill out the rest of the holes that they had in their story. Normally, if you want to do an entire article wrapped around the fact that you didn't find any voter fraud throughout the entire election, you'd want to get, you know, the entirety of your subject covered. But what do I know? I've only been around for 30 years. I don't quite have the track record of the New York Times. Statewide officials in Texas did not respond to repeated inquiries, but a spokeswoman for a top election official in Harris County, the largest county in Texas with a population greater than many states. Okay, cool. Let's see. Yeah, they had a turnout of just over 1.7 million people. So Not exactly a turnout of many states that would qualify as not having that many people there, but do believe that would have been Houston County, yes. And to be fair, Houston is one of the top 5. It used to be in the top 5. I don't know if it still is, but within the top 10 of the most populous cities in the United States. So, okay, fair enough. I'll not saying that it's larger than a bunch of states, but they want to use weasel words in there. I'll go ahead and fact check them a little bit because nobody else is. They just immediately get to run their propaganda without anybody checking it, and it runs on the side of Twitter, which, you know what, lots of people are stopping to use Twitter and going over to Parler, which was the first social media website that I signed up for before I was doing the YouTube thing. Or I think just after. Regardless, whatever. But what's important here is remember the title of this article. There's no systemic voter fraud. Or there's no evidence of voter fraud. Somebody else said that there was no instances of systemic voter fraud. But if you did a little bit of reading there, it gets a little dicey. So the officials in Harris County said that there were only a few minor issues, that we had a very seamless election. May I remind you that they had a few minor issues. Okay, what qualifies as minor? I know what qualifies as no instances. What qualifies as minor? Is that a few thousand votes? Because a few thousand votes in Harris County is very, very different than, say, Antrim County in Michigan. So once again, the New York Times is completely full of shit. If you'd like to read through the rest of this smear piece for, I don't know, so the fine work that's been done out there, but yeah, I don't necessarily recommend wasting your time with this crap, but yeah, feel free to, because that is indeed your right to stay up and informed. And if you want to stick your head into the ground like an ostrich and believe that there was no instances of voter fraud, even though that reading through the rest of this article will completely and totally destroy their headline, which is almost in record time, but you know, it happens out there. But as you can probably tell by the fact that I have several tabs open at the top, yeah, that just ain't the case. First off, we're just going to start with Miss Kayleigh McEnany. We have 234 pages of sworn affidavits under penalty of perjury alleging election irregularities from just one county in Michigan. I think that's Wayne County. That'd be a Detroit area, which we all know has an outstanding reputation as being one of the most ethical and one of the least corrupt counties in all of the world, right? Ooh. Eyewitnesses saw a batch of ballots, 60% had same signature. How is that possible? It is not possible. Eyewitnesses saw a ballot batch scanned 5 times. Preposterous. Eyewitnesses saw 50 ballots fed many times into a scanner. January 1st, 1900, happy birthday, was recorded on poll books as the date of birth for many not in the book so that their ballots could count. Are they this retarded? Like, do they think that they could actually get away with this stuff? Like, did they just think that Trump was this old... Like, if this shit happened during the 2012 election, Mitt Romney would not have pursued this whatsoever. John McCain wouldn't have pursued this whatsoever. Because it was only in one state and things were just ridiculously close. George Bush was the only person who really went forward with any sort of court trial because, yeah, you really couldn't count. And it was, like it said, one state, a few counties, so the Democrats really had to step their game up if they were going to steal this one. But you know what? They've been planning this for a very, very long time. Not saying that they have, because according to the New York Post, remember, there is no instances of voter fraud. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyways, let's get back to this, because the no instances of voter fraud here are very shocking from the fact that the press secretary of the president is saying that there is indeed instances of voter fraud. It's widespread? No, because it's only in one county. So they also saw poll workers marking ballots with no mark for candidates. Oh, they were just thinking that people were a little bit forgetful and they were just helping them out with the rest of the ballot. They saw ballots counted with no signature or postmark. Okay. Once again, just really forgetful people. They're just being helpful. I don't know why you're prosecuting these people. Like, come on now. A voter said deceased son was recorded as voting twice. Both his corporeal and ethereal form was able to mail in a ballot. That's good. That's good. Somebody's taking the election process seriously. Eyewitnesses saw provisional ballots placed in tabulation box. Now, provisional ballots, when it comes state to state, requires a little bit of clarification. Okay, provisional ballots are supposed to be held to the side when you have an outstanding mail-in ballot in some states, or if you are not able to provide proper identification at the time that you cast your ballot, but then you could come back later in order to prove that you lived there, and then that provisional ballot becomes an actual ballot, and that only happens in some states. And then apparently in Philadelphia, or in Pennsylvania rather, where they were supposed to be segregating out the late ballots, which they'd completely disregarded the guidelines sent out by Justice Alito, which I'm sure he's just going to be thrilled about. Those are supposed to be designated as provisional ballots, so they aren't supposed to count until you prove that they have to count. And how about passengers dropped off more ballots than people in cars, where in Michigan, you're not allowed to ballot harvest, by the way. Told ballots received after election were predated and counted, just like the postmaster or the whistleblower out there in Pennsylvania alleged was being told needed to happen to a bunch of ballots that arrived after Election Day. So I guess that endorsement from the United States Postal Service for Joe Biden is really paying off in this case. GOP challengers not readmitted, but Dems admitted. That means that the poll watchers that were left and then had to come back weren't allowed to come back because you're supposed to hold your bladder for, 8, 9, 10 hours at a time, but Democrats are allowed to just go out and then come back in, bring a couple of friends, whatever. GOP challengers forced to stay away while Dems were not, physically pushed from ballot counting tables by officials, challenges subjected to racial harassment, but it's fine because the left is the side of anti-racism and Jim Crow and the Klan. Dem challengers gave out tactics to distract GOP challengers. I need to get a hold of that because that sounds delicious. Election officials covered windows so challengers couldn't observe counting. That's what I did, I think, the day after that video. Election officials cheered when GOP challengers were ejected, which is what you like to see in a nice, transparent, and fair election. GOP challenges to suspected ballots ignored, and challengers barred from observing ballot duplication process. Well, that sounds like several instances of voter irregularities at least happening, if we're just going to go ahead and, not outright call all of these instances fraud, because they do need to be adjudicated and they do need to be taken very seriously. And unless that process takes place, we can only just observe these as being irregularities. But I also left off one, if you were following along with me, if you were following the bouncing ball, of course. Failed software that caused an error in Antrim County used in Wayne County. Oh, not only was it used in Antrim County and Wayne County, it was used everywhere. 30 states and 47 counties in Michigan alone. Now, there was a really genius video that was out there this morning. It was recorded yesterday, and a data analysis was done by an MIT scientist that showed some very startling data. Now, I do enjoy math, I do enjoy graphing and all that kind of nerdy shit because I like to see how things work. And these guys are at the highest level of that. And they broke this down. And if you just look at the graphs, you don't really need a PhD in mathematics in order to see that there's something fucking funny going on here. So on Tuesday, Dr. Shiva Ayedura, hopefully I'm pronouncing that somewhat right. He just basically goes by the handle Dr. Shiva, which is a lot easier to say. MIT PhD, the inventor of email, scientist, engineer, Playboy philanthropist, shares the results of his team's mathematical analysis of 4 major county votes in Michigan in the Trump-Biden election that reveals an unfortunate truth of the U.S. voting systems. Now, they compiled data where it shows that the x-axis here is what percentage of Republicans normally would frequent these precincts and when they voted. So as you can see, all of the Trump data and the way that you can vote in Michigan, you can vote either a straight party ticket, so you can go in and vote all the way down automatically. You can just all the way vote down the party of your choice, or you can pick and choose. So on the y-axis, how well President Trump performed in the deeper and deeper Republican counties, or precincts rather. So as you can see, President Trump, at least in this picture here in Oakland County, he was overperforming in the less Republican precincts. And then once he started to get to about the 25% Republican part of the precincts, there is a stark contrast in his performance the redder the precincts get. That doesn't make a goddamn lick of sense now, does it? So in less Democratic areas, President Trump was overperforming a straight Republican ticket, and the deeper red it gets, he was underperforming. Why would that be? Now, you could just think, okay, that's an outlier. That's just Oakland County. But then you take a look at Kent County, where the phenomenon is once again in play here, right around 25-ish%. He's overperforming and then takes a stark downturn. And that's just comparing two counties. And it's a not insignificant size of counties. Kent County is the second largest outside of Wayne County when it comes to population in Michigan. And what these, MIT PhD engineers surmised is there is only one explanation for this stark and replicated outcome. Is that there was an algorithm in place that would flip Trump votes once they get to a certain percentage over to Biden votes. Because as you can see there, it was replicated in both comparisons in the counties. And they also had a control county there where it showed, we just take a look at Wayne County. So, okay, Trump is wildly overperforming, as you can see here, in Wayne County. And it never really gets too terribly red because, well, the larger cities attract more Democrats, which is a phenomenon which baffles everyone, but it happens, right? So as you can see, that's what a normal pattern should look like. So please take the time to watch this. What you can just really listen to these guys because they're very, very intelligent and they can really articulate the knowledge that they're trying to put across there better than I can with just a little bit of a portion of the video dedicated to them. And I don't know if you've seen the tweet from this scientist down here. Yeah, this analysis is flawed. On the left side of the graph, points must cluster above 0, and on the right side, they must cluster below 0. A normal distribution will give a negative slope. A better analysis will compare the scatter plot to one generated with random data. And this guy here is not a doctor. He is not anybody who deals with data. And you can always see this on Twitter, where the most popular, organically, replies seem to always get put up to the top, and kind of just using algorithms in order to put certain types of fact checks in there. So yeah, if you're interested in more of that information there, feel free to watch that video. It's quite interesting if you're into that sort of, nerdy details of how things work. So I'd chalk that up to another instance of voter irregularities. And how about we skip on over to Milwaukee over there in Wisconsin in the very, very tight race, which is, as of right now, at 20,500 votes, 40 if we're going to be completely accurate. And Wisconsin's already going to be going through a recount anyways, recount, audit, and certification process. So is it going to stay Biden? Oh, I don't know, especially if we take a look at this. We've reported a couple of days ago that by using the audit statistic technique known as Benford analysis, the precincts in Milwaukee are where the focus of any fraud audit in Wisconsin should take place, because it is the most populous county in Wisconsin. And as you can see, there is a huge gap there, which, okay, big city, that makes sense, right? But those margins, I don't know about that. In Wisconsin, on the night of the election, President Trump was winning early into the morning. However, when Americans woke up to find, the following day, Joe Biden had somehow taken the lead in Wisconsin after a vote dump of 100,000 votes appeared overnight. Gee, that's a lot of votes, hey? That's where you get that famous old, just a little glyph there. That sure seems natural. Everyone in the U.S. knew Wisconsin had been stolen, and the votes for Biden all appeared at once in the middle of the night. The concerns with the unreasonable increase in ballots in Wisconsin led one expert to share his analysis on Wisconsin voter data as currently stands. Our experts, who remain anonymous, I hate when they put that, shared us with his analysis using an audit statistical technique known as Benford's analysis. The technique identifies outliers and data sets our experts shared. I saw that some people had the idea of analyzing vote totals in context of Bedford's law. So I ran a first digit analysis on precinct level vote numbers coming out of Wisconsin using data from the 15 largest counties, skipping 2 which had unworkable data. Of the 4 counties, 802 aggregated precinct comprising the Milwaukee metropolitan area, we get a significant deviation from the expected using Biden's vote totals as a p-value of 0.002% probability of the result at least as extreme as this one. Clearly, it does not follow the expected pattern. Trump's vote totals are much more consistent with the P equals 0.087 of a percentile. So the fact that we are a week and change out from the election and we're finally getting these nerds to dig in and understand the information a little bit better kind of makes everybody feel, should make you feel a little bit more secure about it. Like I've stated before, if Biden illegally won, he's the president. But all of these irregularities that haven't turned out in every other election really makes you question the entire process, especially when the voting software is out there flipping ballots, running algorithms apparently, but the mainstream media is immediately covering it up. And something earlier today that they just completely glossed over and are really going to have a bitch of a time explaining this one. Georgia's Secretary of State announces they will conduct a hand recount and full audit of every single legal vote. Because it's about done in Georgia counting. And apparently with the Secretary of State coming out, that means that they are, for all intents and purposes, done, and it's a little better than 14,000 votes. And what you see out there in mainstream media right now is that, Biden has a sizable multi-thousand vote lead in several different states. The fact that everything, well, as you can see, and I've mentioned 1,000 times at this point, Wisconsin is separated only by about 20,000. Georgia here, 14 and change. Trump was winning by 800,000 votes in Pennsylvania the night of the election and then going into the morning, and then it got ridiculously close because, Philadelphia, that bastion of impartiality and known bastion of purity. And then out west, Nevada is super close as well, and same with Arizona. But we'll just stick with what's been announced today. Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger has announced that they will be conducting a hand recount and full audit of every single ballot that was submitted. Raffensperger had announced last week that they would be doing a recount after ballots turned up in the dead of night and push the state for Joe Biden. That's weird. Following the announcement, the Trump campaign asked Georgia election officials to count all ballots by hand instead of using high-speed scanners. We've got scanners, which they have agreed to do. Good. This is the first time a full vote audit has ever been conducted in the state. Well, this is the first time it's ever been decided by 14,000 votes right now. Something tells me, there's a popular theory out there, and something that's been not necessarily proven before because nobody's really taking the time to delve deep into it, where, election officials have to go out. If they are to, let's just say hypothetically, steal a state or multiple states, they have to kind of figure out how many votes that they're going to need. So they'll hold back a very, very populous county's votes and wait for all of the other precincts and counties to report in order for that populous county to release their vote totals. Now they'll just hold back and it's like, do we have enough? Then we can let out everything and then we'll win. That's fine. Or they'll just hold it back and immediately in the dead of night, we'll just go ahead and call for emergency polling locations to be opened up. Like say, around 2018 in Phoenix when a certain special senatorial race was going on. But that's neither here nor there. And then if that's not, handy enough, if that's not going to persuade enough people to come out and vote, you just truck in mail-in ballots because it's always easier to commit the fraud than prove somebody committed the fraud. And that's why I think Joe Biden is the perfect candidate for them to try this widespread, I'll use the term, widespread voter fraud for this one, because Joe Biden is going to be 78 years old by the time Inauguration Day in 2021 rolls around. There is no way in hell he would be healthy enough to make another run at it when he's 82 years old. I haven't forgot about the Hunter Biden laptop, but a lot of people sure have. So we know that Biden is compromised, and if anybody's going to be doing a full audit on him, he would have to go down with the ship on that one, because there's seems to be enough information on there that some questions would be raised. So if anybody was going to have to take the fall for trying to set up a vote rigging system, it might as well be the old fucker who is certainly compromised. somebody who doesn't really appeal to either side of the aisle when it comes to looking at Democratic politics, because you got the blue dogs, you got the guys who are just kind of moderate, your standard sort of centrist who naturally just kind of leans left, who likes, a couple of social policies, and it's like, okay, I'll just vote for the Democrats because they're the good guys. And then on the other side of the aisle, you've got the fucking fringe radicals, the AOC types. And Biden just kind of seems like he could be swayed to the far left, or he could just, kind of continue to pander to the far more centrist types. So he's somebody who's not really anything. He's just kind of like trying to catch smoke. You don't really know what Joe Biden's all about. And that's why I think he's the perfect candidate to do this. Because you don't really know what he's about. You know that he's old as fuck, and you don't really want to prosecute somebody who's so old as fuck, but he's certainly compromised. So if he gets caught with this, he's not going to go away for a long time. And he's already got a whole backstory that needs flushing out anyways. Well, that's what we got for the update here today. So Georgia's going to be going into a hand count for their entire state, which, I think about the paper cuts. And hopefully all of the policies will be followed there with the poll watchers and signature authenticators and going over those ballots rigorously. So that could take a few weeks, I'd imagine. And we got to wait for the counts to be done in Arizona and Nevada and Pennsylvania before they might be going down this track too and figuring out what the fuck is going on in Michigan and Wisconsin as well, even though we know that Wisconsin's going to be going into a recount as well. So as soon as we figure out when those counts are going to be done or when there's more lawsuits coming out, because as much as the New York Times wants to tell you that there are no instances of voter fraud, boy, have I at least given you a little bit of an update of what's happening lately to prove that that's just not true. And even the New York Times doesn't believe that, but they also don't believe that you're going to read through the rest of the article. So I did that for you guys, and hopefully you can appreciate that. And now you know a little bit more about what the fuck is going on. We're only 8 days deep, and we are still a couple months out for Inauguration Day and the dates when the states have to certify their own elections, because those are a little bit touch and go. Some of them start within the next couple of weeks, and a couple of them go into the early part of December. So that's going to get very, very heated, but those are constitutionally enshrined, so they can't really be fucked with. But I'm sure more shit will come down the pipeline tomorrow, and I'll be able to do an election fraud update tomorrow for you. So stay tuned for that if you are so interested. Anyways, guys, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.